You ever come across a game that is incredible only to search for it on the internet to come up with nothing? Well, that, brobots and bro ladies, is Roboquest. I was perusing the Steam to find a game to play when this little hidden gem caught my eye. And what a perfect time to find it too. The autumn update just hit, adding a bunch of content to the game. Yes, the game is currently in early access, but it packs more value in its current state than other finished games in the market. To be transparent, I was lucky enough to receive a review code from the developer and publisher Rise Up Studios. Also, I do want to mention, if I sound a little funny and I'm under the weather, it's because I am. I am currently congested up to my eyeballs in goop, and I'm trying my best to not sound like death. So bear with me here, but I'm going to try to sound my best I can. Okay, you're probably thinking, what is Roboquest? I feel you ask, Mr. Brobet. Yes, well, Roboquest is a roguelite FPS co-op looter shooter. That's a lot to say, and it may seem like there are too many cooks in the kitchen, but Rise Up Studios did a great job into baking all these elements together into a sweet little dinner roll. Mwah. Before we get into the gameplay though, let's talk a bit about the story. The year is 2700. Humans live scattered throughout the desert, struggling to survive. It's looking pretty bleak out there, until a young scavenger girl named Max stumbles across something that may help. An old guardian robot. That's you, lying abandoned in the sand. She reactivates them, knowing with a guardian by her side, she may be able to give mankind a fighting chance. Sweet little girl, she's probably got bigger stones than the rest of humankind to go out to the desert without any proper protection. Together, the two begin to explore the mysterious canyons that surround them, searching for answers and a way to survive. There's just one problem. The canyons are crawling with bad bots, determined to stop them from advancing. Who's controlling them? And what are they guarding within the canyons? Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna get an answer to those last two due to early access. But let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay in Roboquest is quite magnificent, honestly. You're gonna run through random levels on an unrecognizable Earth. This place has scorched canyons, vivid cities packed with secrets, upgrades, and enemies. No run will ever feel the same. There are multiple paths to take, a plethora of weapons to find, and numerous baddies to destroy. In the current build, there are 3 acts, each with 2 levels ending with a random boss fight. More than 50 weapons to use, and great build customization. At the very beginning when you start Roboquest, you'll only be able to access one branching path, but as you play and progress, you'll unlock new areas to explore, some stages including extra areas or side quests. These new areas can include harder enemies but more rewards, faster stages, or just include a mosh pit of items and enemies. Finishing an act will have the player fight against one of 2 bosses. Bosses beginning are straightforward, but will include more mechanics and challenges as the play progresses. My favorite boss battle so far is the centipede boss that you have to fight while grinding rails as Sonic the Hedgehog from Sonic Adventure 2 for my homies, as the toxic floor rises. It's bullshit bonkers, and I love it. The build that the player creates will definitely dictate the pace of the game. There are 4 classes to choose from, each one with unique perks, upgrades, and most important, an ability. My favorite and the one you're currently seeing is Guardian. Guardian's class ability is Safety Bubble. Everyone's favorite, we could use that probably nowadays. Safety Bubble, when deployed, generates a temporary impervious shield around the player, blocking all incoming damage for 3 seconds. Recon's class ability is Stealth. Stealth allows the player to enter a state of invisibility that prevents enemies from targeting them. Additionally, the unmodified ability increases the player's movement speed by 15% for 4 seconds, it generates 3 charges for Recon's class perk, and deploys a decon lasting 5 seconds that draws a fire of enemies in its direction. That's quite a lot for one class. Engineer's class ability is Summon Drone. This will activate and deploy friendly drone partners that circle the player. While circling, the drone will target enemies and fire at them every 0.3 seconds, dealing a base damage of 6 per shot. Without modification, the base number of deployable drones is 2. Commando's class ability is Rocket. And Rocket is a projectile type ability. When activated, the player launches an explosive rocket that deals 80 damage and applies impact. This rocket has slight tracking capabilities and will home in on nearby enemies, unless the player takes the Fan of Rockets upgrade, which negates homing. Now this is a very surface look at 4 of the classes. Each one has their very unique melee, and this melee works in tandem with the ability to become more powerful. So I do recommend doing a little bit more in-depth research on the classes. I've always played as the Guardian because he's just my favorite. He suits my playstyle. I don't like stealth classes. I know they're supposed to seem more like glass canyons, but it's really not on my alley for this kind of game. As the player makes scrap heat out of the numerous bad bots across the land, they will gain XP. Now if you played enough video games, which I'm sure you guys have, you'll know that means you'll level up. Leveling up increases health and damage, but the real winner is the ability to choose your perk. You'll have 3 random perks to choose from, and you can upgrade chosen perks in sequent level ups or choose from fresh perks. There are universal perks, which are accessible by all classes, and there are class perks, which help you build the playstyle you want and specific to the chosen class. Some of my favorites are Tactical Slap, which reloads my weapon when I show the robots the good side of my backhand, and Gluttony, which increases the efficacy of my health pickups. Real quick note on health pickups. Health pickups drop from almost every enemy, and they have a very short amount of time on the ground, and this is how you keep the combat loop going through aggressive gameplay. It's a lot like Doom Eternal if you played that, where in those you need to do some glory kills to get health. Here you just need to be aggressive in your gameplay, and as soon as you kill an enemy, you can go over there and you actually have this like small window called scrap health. That's health that you can recover with your health pickups. The presentation here is excellent. To many, this looks like a Borderlands clone. That's not really a fair comparison. They share similarities, but Roboquest is much more heftier than that. Both games do share a cel-shaded aesthetic and random guns, but that's about it. It's a looter shooter after all. The gameplay is extremely fast. It has that boomer shooter speed and tempo. You can't keep these crusty bones down, baby. Even with a cold, I'm still coming after you, and it's gonna feel like you're gliding across the ground. That's excellent. That's what you want. A small detail that I enjoy is the visual sound effect that the guns give off when you fire them. They remind me a lot of 13, and I'm not talking about that sorry ass excuse of a remake that recently came out. I'm talking about the 2003 release, baby, for the GameCube. The GameCube, the best version. Even the guns tempt the player to try them every time a new one shows up. We got your basic submachine guns, shotguns, and pistols, both coming in the standard format and the energy format. Then we got those nice little special, like, the little creme de la cremes, the little garnishes that you put on top of your Bloody Mary. We got turrets, we got muskets, we got sniper rifles, energy sniper rifles, and most importantly, bubble guns and much, much more. Everything flows seamlessly when engaging enemies, and each weapon feels useful in combat. Some even come with an alternate fire, and as you progress and find rarity, increasing rarity, you'll find more affixes to these weapons which give you more versatility. Finding which one you want, you might have a shotgun that fires 2 bursts with 1 trigger pull. You might find a Tommy gun that can sporadically shoot out a shotgun blast. These guns are straight up wacky, so experiment with what you want. There's a hell of a lot of fun guns in this game. Not ever did I feel bored when I was out there blasting these poor robots with my goddamn robotic hands. The art style complements the areas you'll go through, which include canyons, oasis, ruins, aqueducts, and much, much more. Also, the music is nothing but straight bangers. Composed by Noise Scream, who's got a techno dubstep style, very hardcore, very aggressive. So if you're nothing but about non-stop action, you feel like blood's going through those nice juices. Another game that you might find him in is, Midnight Fight Express. I recently covered that as well. If you love beat 'em ups, if you love isometric beat 'em ups, and nothing but straight up brawlers, and a love letter to action films, you gotta check it out. Do yourself a favor. If you haven't heard of it, it's a disservice. Roboquest is one of the best roguelites I've played in a long time. And I'm just going to be with you, I don't even like roguelites. For the most part, I just don't like the format, right? The one and done deal and that's over. I'm more of a linear guy. I'm very basic, I'm very old school. I like my high, all killer, no thriller kind of deal. And I can name 2 that I've enjoyed, and they're both recent releases. Shovel Knight Dig and Roboquest. I love the game right off the bat. I don't know if anyone else has ever had this kind of experience with video games, but the second I got into my first Firefly, I fell into like this trance and I just kept going and going. And before I knew it, I was 5 straight hours into the game and I was like, oh, I gotta work tomorrow at 4 in the morning. And it was already 11 o'clock. You know, it was a great, but I don't regret it. I mean, I'm trying my best to portray how I feel about this game. It's excellent. And at the very least, I hope I've managed for you to at least convince you to look at it through some runs, other Roboquest review videos. If you and a buddy want to try it out, hey, that's the amazing part about this game. You and a friend can go at it because it's got co-op. And if you want to give it a shot and you don't really have anyone that wants to take the plunge with you, that's fine. The Discord is lively and it's fairly easy to find a co-op game through the quick search in the game. So you got options. Thank you so much for listening to me spill my affection for Roboquest. I honestly think it's a banger of a game and there's just more coming up for it. The autumn update just hit, which modifies everything completely. There's a bunch of new content. So I think there's a timeline too as well. There's going to be a winter update and I think there's going to be one more final update. But I highly recommend checking it out right now. You're missing out. For 20 bucks. This thing is a steal. You can get it on Steam, Good Old Games, and it's currently available on Xbox Game Pass. So if you already have Game Pass, there's no excuse for you to not try it out. If you found this video helpful in any way and have been checking it out all the way to the end, thank you so much. I'm very appreciative of your time. Thank you for giving me your attention as well. If you found it helpful in any way, shape, or form, please consider subscribing and have an excellent and super day. Thank you very much.